Dennis here, and you're listening to the second episode of the EatSleepLift.com podcast. I'd like to welcome you back. If you listened to the first atrocious mess that was, this is the second one. If my voice sounds a little raspy, I've been sick for a week, so that's that. The fact that we're coming up on Halloween, I kind of wanted to start everything off with a touch of Halloween, and that was basically this is surviving the zombie apocalypse. This is something I intend to do every so often since it's kind of interesting, kind of fun, kind of stupid. I'm kind of glad that we've kind of moved away from the very feminine vampires of what the heck's it called? Well, whatever it is, you guys know what I'm talking about. Moonlight, something like that. Twilight. There you go. That horrible bastion of embarrassment. Yeah, surviving the zombie apocalypse. If you haven't seen any of the zombie apocalypse shows or movies, they're actually pretty good. Just recently watched The Walking Dead since I was sick, and it's surprisingly pretty good. I mean, I'm not into the whole zombie things other than that it's much more violent than the vampire stuff, but it's pretty good. But I also refer to, if you've ever seen Zombieland, it's basically the guy has a bunch of rules, and one of his rules is cardio, and because you always have to outrun your zombies, and I think that's actually kind of important. I know as weightlifters, a lot of times we tend to scoff at cardio, but it's pretty important. I mean, you should be able to run at least, like, say, an 8-minute mile, and just do basic fitness related cardio stuff that you should be able to do. If you can't swim, you should probably learn how to swim. Maybe swim a mile in a certain time. I don't know what time that should be, but you should be able to do it. Basically, you should be able to do a sprint triathlon in a respectable time. If you don't know what a sprint triathlon is, it's basically a really short triathlon. So you're going to be doing probably about a mile, no, I'm sorry, half a mile swim, 10-mile bike ride, and I believe it's basically a 3.1 mile run, basically a 5K. So, I mean, it's something you should be able to do in a respectable time. I'm not telling you to do it in half an hour like the pros do, but, you know, you should be able to do it. And if you don't run, you should at least find a preferred method of cardio. If you don't like doing exercise, there's something out there that you gotta like. Unless you just absolutely hate exercise and gotta do it anyways. A lot of people really like basketball. If you like basketball, go play basketball. If you like racquetball, go play racquetball. There's so many sports out there. Cricket, lacrosse, football. It's something you like, just go out there and do it. I mean, exercise shouldn't be hated. You should love it. You should be able to go out there and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna play softball, even if it is just to go drinking afterwards. Excuse me. But personally, I like the bike. I know a lot of people who do. It seems to be a lot nicer. You go faster, get a breeze. But that, I mean, that's just a preferred method of cardio. Snowboarding is another one. Skiing. Just find what you like to do and do it. But you should have a base level for it. I remember 2 weekends ago, I was back with a friend of mine, and we stopped at one of the water stations, and because it was hot, and we're not pro, we don't drink while we bike. We're not at that level yet, and we're sitting there listening to these three women talk, probably middle aged to a little bit younger, old level. If that makes any sense, like late 30s or maybe mid 50s, in that range there, and they're talking about running, and the older lady's like, oh, well, I know I'm a much more advanced runner than you guys are, and I'm looking at all these people, and they're all overweight. Like, I'm talking about, like, extremely overweight. Like, they probably couldn't run a 10-minute mile. And she's basically talking about, the older woman's talking about, oh, you need to switch out your shoes every other day so that you don't compress them so much and you get better. It's better for your feet and your knees and your legs. And they all start going off on how they can feel that their shoes are starting to become old because they can feel it in their knees. And I'm thinking, these people don't know anything. And I really wanted to ask them to just run, and I wanted to see how they could run and just critique them on it. But I kind of held my tongue, and I just laughed inside. And it was funny because one of the women, the younger one, she would look over at us, and she would kind of be like, I can't believe this crock of shit. And it was pretty funny because they started just like, oh, I love the red ones, and they just didn't know anything. And I don't know what my baseline for a runner is, but I think a runner should probably be able to do at least 6.5 minute 3 miles. That's just as a runner. If you probably can't do that as a runner, you're not a runner. Yeah, it was just very funny how these people didn't know anything. I wanted to be like, how, do you ever run without shoes or very thin shoes? Like, just expecting the typical response of like, oh no, because that would be horrible for your knees, and all that stomping around on your legs would just be horrible for your back. And I just wanted to be like, man, if you've never done the whole free running type running barefoot thing, that is probably the quickest way to correct your running form if you have issues with it. Um, a lot of people will run and really like jump when they run, or they'll land on their knees, or I'm sorry, on their heels, which you'll feel it instantly on your knees when you're running on cement. Um, Now, however, if you don't ever run barefoot, I don't recommend running barefoot on cement. Get shoes. I made that stupid mistake one time, and I paid for it dearly when I couldn't walk for a week because of the blisters on my feet. Um, but yeah, I definitely recommend the whole free running thing, and you don't have to spend exorbitant amount of money on those type of shoes. One great alternative actually that I've been experimenting with is swimming shoes. Just go to Walmart, buy a pair of swimming shoes for $7. They work fantastic. I'm gonna try to do a video on those sometime soon because it's uncanny. All those really are is just a thin piece of plastic. And I know we all tend to have some kind of memories, fond memories, sarcasm there, of wearing swimming shoes and going to the beach as a kid and stuff. But they actually work really great. I'm actually contemplating just switching to those as my primaries for shoes all the time. I use them in the gym. They're perfect. Deadlifting, squatting. I've never had a better shoe other than no shoe at all when deadlifting and squatting because it just gives you that grip and that flatness that you need. I've used them for running. I used them for golf. What else? Biking I haven't used them for. Biking you kind of need a clip in. If you have clip-in shoes, or which I don't, but or you need something hard, so you need to push that pedal. But other than that, they work great. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna try and get a video on that pretty soon. But yeah, you need to learn how to run and how to bike and all that stuff. But and one of the things that this situation actually brought to light was how do you approach people and inform them that not necessarily that they're wrong, but that their view on something might be different and might not necessarily be the best way. Whether that be out biking or at the gym or anything of the sort. I know when I'm at the gym, I see people a lot of times doing things very, very incorrectly. Say squats or deadlifts. You just see them rounding their back on the deadlift or on the squat. The form is just horrible looking, and they just don't know what they're doing. And I mean, I have helped a few people before, but I can kind of see it that they were kind of receptive of it, but they kind of push back, and I don't know if that comes from the approach or how I tell them, or just maybe pride. So I mean, I can just imagine someone coming up to you and telling you, "Hey, you're doing it wrong." I think if you're going to tell somebody, you have to approach them, "Hey, do you mind if can I give you a tip, or two, or three, or four, or 18?" I helped a kid one time on his squat, and I go, "Hey, do you mind if I give you a tip?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, sure." I tell him, grip it like this, do this and do that. And I think you also don't want to overwhelm with tips. Try to keep it at 3. I think 3 might be the magic number. Granted, I don't have enough experience telling people, but I think 3 might be the magic number. Unless they're very receptive, and you can just probably help them a lot more. You have to feel it out. But yeah, I mean, if you're gonna approach somebody, don't do it in the middle of their set. Don't do it in the middle of their reps. Wait till they're done. Wait till between sets and be like, "Hey, do you and approach them then." And it's always kind of weird because how you always feel if somebody's watching you. I'm sure people know that you're watching them during the gym and watching them do things horribly. It's that whole sixth sense, and I'm sure people feel it. and you can just feel his eyes glaring at you. And not necessarily glaring, but like looking over every once in a while to see how you're doing it. Um, so yeah, just be friendly about it. When you approach somebody, don't try to push anything on them. Don't tell them they're doing it wrong. Just be like, hey, uh, you gotta do things in a positive light, or else people won't be receptive to it. So yeah, just be like, just yell at them. Be like, screw it. Hey, you're gonna fuck yourself up. You're back. You're right in your back. You're gonna blow your disc out. No, I'm just kidding. But you gotta think, how would you feel if someone approached you and told you you're doing things wrong, or things you could do better? And I think at first you'd probably be a little taken aback, maybe a little prideful, wouldn't want to change things. But if somebody does tell you something, you should listen to it. You should try it, unless it's just stupid. Somebody's telling you to do a one-handed side squat with the bar across the front of your shoulder, something weird. So you should listen to it, and if it sounds good, or if it makes sense, don't do something crazy. Try it, but then you should go home and do some research on it, because there's a lot of bad things out there. One thing would be if people tell you like, oh, don't deadlift because it'll screw up your back, or don't squat because it'll screw up your knees and it's horrible for your knees, or your knees need to be positioned like this or like that. So you need to go home and do some research on it. Find some knowledgeable people, ask them about it, or just find knowledgeable resources online. I mean, if it's the correct way, there will be a lot of research, a lot of people talking about it. Try to avoid the bro science. That's that. In the news, a couple articles this week. Actually, there's quite a bit of stuff. One of the most interesting ones I found is that old people just as fit as sedentary young people. And when I saw this article, I almost laughed because we keep seeing these research studies funding common sense. And it really is. Just think about it. If you think of a 23-year-old sitting at home who's been playing Warcraft for the past 5 years, and a 50-year-old who's been, out there lifting weights or running, of course they're going to be in better shape. When I played softball, I can't tell you how out of shape my team was. It was embarrassing. It was probably a bunch of, I think they were all maybe like late 30s, early 40s, and it was embarrassing how out of shape they was. I mean, they could barely get around the bases. We'd be cheering if they got that first with an outfield hit, and it's just embarrassing. And then I look at people like my sensei, who's I think he's 51 now, and he looks like he's like 35 bodybuilder, and he barely works out anymore. And that's just the level of fitness is it's important, man. You got to keep it up. You can see it too if you see old people as they get older. If they're always active or staying active, they can be 80 something and 90 something, and they look like they're maybe 60. But then you see old people who aren't active, who stayed in and just watch TV, and they look so frail. And you see it once they get really, really old, because they can't go anywhere. So you got to keep that level of fitness up. And of course, an older person is going to be more fit than a non-fit young person. I mean, look at what they say is the training peak, or the peak level for like triathletes is about, I think, early 30s. But that's probably because you spend the first 30-something years not paying attention to nutrition or exercise. You get to around 30 and you're like, oh shoot, this is what I should be doing. And you achieve that level. And that kind of brings you to the next article, and that was that deceiving the brain can give 1% or more better performance. That's not an exact title, but I'll link it. Yeah, we see it all the time. What they basically did in the study was this is just a synopsis. I didn't, not to go too deep. They basically took a bunch of bikers and they paired it against computer simulation that was doing better than their personal best, and they would beat it. And I think that comes down to the competition, the competitive spirit. I mean, if you've ever been in the weight room, say you work out by yourself, and you get certain numbers, and you're working at it, and say you can maybe only deadlift like 4 or 5, which is a respectable number depending on your weight. If you weigh 600 pounds and 8'2", probably not, but It's a respectable number, and you just can't break that. And then you work out with a friend for a weekend, and just the maybe the camaraderie, maybe the competition, the competitive level is raised. And all of a sudden, you deadlift 425, and you go, oh shit, but I didn't know that. Now that's a little bit better than I'm pretty sure. It's about 1%, I think. No, it's not 1%. Yeah, it's better than 1%. It's very early in the morning. I can't do math. And very early in the morning. Um, but yeah, I mean it's and we've seen it with other studies. I think I'll have to find a study where one of the creatine studies. I think they were comparing it to a placebo, and the placebos always do just as good as a lot of times as the drug. And I think they've done it with creatine and a bunch of other things. They see the same kind of performance boost, and as soon as they tell them, oh, you had a placebo, performance boost drops off. The brain is a powerful thing. That's one of the that's pretty much the internal power driver, and that's one of the things I strive to achieve is the whole um, being able to do things without necessarily having the strength to do it, but the mental aptitude. Um, I don't know about you guys, but like when I'm squatting, uh, it's once I'm done squatting, once I start getting deep into the sets of a squat, it starts to suck because I start to lose my concentration, and it's one of those things that just wanes and it's hard to keep. Which actually brings another point. I forgot what I was doing, and I was basically where I was. I read it, but it was saying don't squat in front of a mirror. And I started thinking back, and I realized that I'd never not squatted in front of a mirror. So I tried it. I just turned around and I looked out towards the gym, and it was probably one of the most humbling experiences I've had in the gym. Weight that's very easy for me, more like a warm-up weight, was all of a sudden very difficult. And I don't want to say it was because I was scared or fearful, but I think it was a little bit of not having that security blanket. A little bit. So I guess I was a little bit scared of not having that security blanket in the mirror, and I realized how much that mirror actually affects you. It really does hold you back, and you have to get used to squatting without it. So if you have to, just go to a squat rack without a mirror in front of it, or maybe put a piece of paper in front of it so you don't see yourself, or just turn around and as long as your squat rack can allow you to just turn around in it, try it. You'll be amazed. It really is unbelievable how you can't. You almost literally can't squat. I don't even think I'd ended up doing my full weight that I usually do because that was just so weird. And it's really funny how your form just kind of goes to crap, even though it's the same squat, the same location, everything is the same, other than you have no mirror. So try it with all your other lifts too. You might be deadlifting in front of a mirror. You might be curling in front of a mirror. Just once you know the proper form, try to do it without looking at yourself. You'll shock yourself how difficult it is to do, not looking at yourself. And if you take mirror pictures of yourself in the gym, of your huge biceps, don't do it. You look like such a tool. I love seeing that at the gym. I see it every so often. People, all I do is come in to do bicep curls and they start taking pictures of themselves. I'm like, man, best thing to do to people is say they're up there curling 35s. Just go up there and grab the 60s. Start curling those. Oh, they get so angry. They decide to go to the cardio area. Oh, it's pretty funny. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for the rest of the episode. I didn't get much feedback, pretty much none, other than my friend who gave me some pointers. So yeah, send in your feedback, questions. Take a lot of questions. Like I said, I'm a nobody, but I'll give you my opinion of what I know to the best of my ability. Yeah. Well, so much for that touch on the Halloween surviving a zombie apocalypse. But I'm sure we'll come back to that. So remember, do your cardio, lift heavy, have a good Halloween. Thanks for listening, podcast. You can email me at dennis@eatsleeplift.com. You can leave comments in the. I'm sure I'll post this on the YouTube page. Leave comments there. Send me questions there. Check it out. The blog at eatsleepliftlive.com. Check out the website at eatsleeplift.com, and all those other slew of Twitter and Facebook is all linked on eatsleeplift.com. So yeah, thanks for listening. Till next time, lift heavy, lift heavy, lift heavy.